sports, and politics. Get ready to rumble! You wanna talk smack? You in the right place. So take a step back before I get all up in your
remember, because I don't remember. I remember every bit of this.
You're the dudes holding on the phone line. Your voice will be heard, sir.
Next caller, please.
Jerry's gonna get him.
Fantasy sports and politics. Fantasy sports and politics. Fantasy sports and politics. Fantasy sports and politics.
Listeners are asking questions about this week's games, not Jerry's personal beef. So what's your thought? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Fantasy Sports and Politics. It's me, Mr. FSP, doing what I do because I do it for you. Been dealing with some stuff lately, so I really am sad that I missed hosting last week's show. But this week, I'm doing a review. I'm doing a review of the NFL season. I called a three-peat. I was wrong. It wasn't a three-peat. They got beat. Wop. And I'm not even a Kendrick Lamar fan, but we might talk about that later. A couple of questions came up. In regards to the game. So I'm going to start talking about the game, and then I'll get into the review. I'm going to be honest with you, very honest with you. I was asleep for the first half. I had some catfish during the Harry Connick Jr. and the Southern Band portion. Enjoyed that. Enjoyed the catfish. But then I went slam to sleep. I mean, literally, slam to sleep. Right after, literally after Harry Connick Jr. said, "Welcome to New Orleans," and Super Bowl 59, my eyes went. So I woke up, and the first play I see is, I believe it's the interception by Cooper DeJean, taking it back all the way. It was 24-0 at that point, I believe, because that's when I woke up. And I'm like, see? Now, last year, Mr. Poyer, one of the people that followed the show, and a former colleague of mine, told us about Cooper DeJean. Told us about a couple players from Iowa. That's the first thing I thought about. I was like, damn, they got Quentin Mitchell and Cooper. They are set at corner. And Slay announced his retirement anyway, but they are set at corner for the next 5 to 6 years. Horrifying. Then, of course, the next play was after that pick six was yet again another turnover of Patrick Mahomes. And at this point, I believe Tom Brady said there was only like 20-something yards of total offense. I was like, okay, whatever. But then it was literally like 23 yards of total offense. And I watched the halftime show, kind of, sort of, didn't watch all of it. But I did watch all of it. But then my interest in the football game became, okay, can Kansas City come back? Can Pat do his thing? But when you're rushing 4, dropping 7, and Pat has no time, It was all over. It was written all over her face. You know, they got the touchdowns toward the end. But versus prevent defense wasn't that the final score was not indicative of what I saw and apparently what happened the first half. So I relooked at it and said to myself, yeah, that offensive line is trash. N'Kobe Dean, linebacker, didn't have to blitz. Bond didn't have to blitz. They just had Carter, Sweat, and the other two beat 5-man protection, 6-man protection with the tight end, and then sometimes 7 with a running back chip. All year, Kansas City has been winning by 1 score or so. And I think we all should have kept that in mind going into the Super Bowl because they weren't dominant in any way, shape, or form except versus the Broncos. Versus the Broncos. Not the Broncos. The first playoff game they had. That was the only time they were dominant. All year. But, and this goes into what I'm going to get into a little bit, which is I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. I picked them to win the Super Bowl. They lost. But I still don't think this is the end. They need to fix the offensive line for sure. 4 beating 5, 6, and sometimes even 7 protection all game is not a good thing. But what I'm going to do right now is bring in a guest who's been sitting in the waiting room, Mr. Taylor. How you doing, Mr. Taylor?
How are you doing? I'm doing great. I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm good. Drinking my water. Doing what I'm supposed to do. About to have, if it ever stops smoking, this hibiscus tea. I think I'm going to drink a cup of hibiscus tea every night before I go to bed. Hot. That shit's still hot. Anyway, so Van says that this was the worst Super Bowl as far as competition goes he's ever seen. And I reminded him of the time that Washington beat up on Buffalo 49 or 42-10 and all those other Super Bowls that we watched growing up. But he contests that this is one of the worst ever Super Bowls he's ever seen.
Okay, I can agree with one of the worst. Okay.
Well, the worst. He said the worst. But
no, it's not. It's not the worst. The worst one I've seen, and I've seen a lot of them, was
1920s don't count. But
stop.
They didn't have TVs back then.
You didn't have to go that way, but that's okay.
I didn't have to, but
obviously you just couldn't resist. But that's okay. I'm gonna look past that, and the one I absolutely stands out in me was the Chicago Bears against the Chargers, if I'm not mistaken.
Chargers?
I don't know.
When the Bears played the Chargers in the Super Bowl?
Maybe it wasn't the Chargers. I mean,
maybe the 49ers played the Chargers in the Super Bowl.
Okay, then that's what it was. It was the 49ers against the Chargers, and that was like 55 plus 55 and 15, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, that was actually a horrifying beatdown, if I'm not mistaken. So I can't recall what Super Bowl it was, but the Chargers.
Bobby Ross was the head coach. Stan Humphries was the quarterback.
Yes.
Marshall Ref was the right guard.
Yes.
I don't think that was the worst one, but okay. Because Junior Seau
to me
had
that
a
was
big game, and
to me that was the absolutely worst game I've ever watched. I mean, it was to me it was like this game. It was like the worst I've ever seen. In fact, it statistically was the worst game Patrick Mahomes ever had. Okay, it was the worst game. I mean, it reminded me when they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Tampa Bay did the same thing as the Eagles did. They just dominated on the defensive and offensive line, and
absolutely,
you just looked at what happened. And I watched this game first half, turned it off. It's over. I said this game is over. I could see the dominance that the Eagles will have, and I watched a video on YouTube before the Super Bowl, and I'm trying to think who was the person that was being interviewed, and I can't think of the person being interviewed, but the person was like had hindsight. I mean, he just said the offensive line and the defensive line was it reminds me of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers facing the Kansas City Chiefs. And he just compared it. It was a player compared it to that the defensive line, because they just rush 4, didn't have to blitz, never blitz. Let me put it that way. They never blitzed because they were dominant so much on the defensive line from the Eagles that they didn't need a blitz. And it was just deja vu all over again. Tampa Bay and the Eagles did the same thing with the same type of personnel. Rush 4 that was dominant over the inadequate line of the Kansas City Chiefs and harassed Patrick Mahomes to no end. And it was dominant. It was a dominant show. I stopped watching it, and I watched it off and on. And then when I say off and on, I just watched it off and on. And from what I saw in the first half, it was a replay of what was happening in the second half. And I said, this game is over. This game is over. I mean, they made it supposedly close in the second half with those garbage points. So,
yeah. And I understand what Van is saying about, competitive nature. But to me, if a defense can do that, that made it very competitive. To me, if you can go up and down the field, that means it's not really that competitive. That means that defense is really no match for that offense on either side. So I enjoy a defensive struggle, even though the offense for Philly was just clicking like clockwork. Saquon Barkley didn't have but 60, 70 yards rushing all game.
I was going into that game thinking that Saquon was not going to get 100 yards. They were going to key on Saquon to make sure that if they got beat, it was going to be on Jalen Hurts. It wasn't going to be on Saquon.
And the thing is, Jalen Hurts can do it, from his time at Alabama to Oklahoma to now with the Eagles. He has an arm. He has intelligence. He knows where to put the ball. It's just that it wasn't called upon until this game.
Yep.
For him to exercise it. And I got to give Kellen Moore credit. Myself and you dogged him out many times in Dallas and even this year in Philly. Before the season started, we both said it's going to be terrible. Are they not going to run Saquon? And Kellen Moore conformed to what Philly wanted, which was a run-first, run-heavy offense. And did that hurt some people fantasy-wise who had Jalen Hurts? Somewhat. I mean, he still got his rushing touchdowns, but he wasn't that big of a passing threat, and he's not going to be. In my opinion, as long as Saquon is there and the offensive line is there, I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to be that big of a threat unless teams find a way to bottle up Saquon Barkley, which is only happened in this last game in the Super Bowl. The man averaged like 120, 130 yards per game. That's not including his receiving. But Jalen Hurts utilized his weapons, his receiving weapons. He utilized A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, the dump game to Saquon. I think Dallas Goedert got maybe 1, 2, not that many receptions. Again, I didn't see the first half.
No.
But even though the running game was not as potent as it normally was, it was enough to keep that defense, Karlaftis, and the rest of those guys on their toes. They went man to man. Kansas City did, and they got beat. I'll be honest with you. I think if Detroit were there, it would have been the same result. I honestly think it would have been the same result as far as the final being the NFC winning and the AFC losing. I think Hutchinson, Zadarius Smith, and the rest of that defensive line could have created enough havoc to get the pressure. Quite honestly. I mean, you're shaking your head no, but again, that's my opinion.
And my opinion is this. The Detroit Lions don't have the type of pass rush generated to affect the offense of the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the problem. They would have to blitz more versus just rushing 4 and using the 7 on the back end to protect against the pass.
Well, no,
so
that's what I'm saying. With Hutchinson coming back, because he was due to come back during the Super Bowl. I'm saying this is all hypothetical anyway, right? So if Hutchinson was back like the plan was, him, Zadarius Smith, and the 2 D tackles, I believe could have caused just as much havoc. And I think they would have blitzed, yes, but I think their front 4 could have generated just as much pressure. Maybe not, the how many sacks? Like 5 sacks, 6 sacks it was, maybe 3, maybe 4. But I think they would have gotten the pressure needed so that Aaron Glenn's a man defensive coordinator anyway. He doesn't like to play zone. He likes to play man. And maybe he would have played more zone with the 2 dominant pass rushers on either end. But we'll never know.
Yeah, I think the Achilles heel of the Detroit Lions, and if you watch when they played the Buffalo Bills, was their pass rush. So
they didn't have Hutchinson during that game.
Regardless of that, you get Aiden Hutchinson coming back off an injury, a severe leg injury. You're not going to get the same type of player that you had earlier in the year before his injury. So what I'm saying is,
I get it.
You're not going to get the same. You're not going to get the same player. I mean, Philly was the number 1 defense in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 defense. Detroit certainly was not the number 1 defense. So that makes a difference. When you can only rush 4 and send 7 back to protect against the pass. And for whatever reason, and I don't understand it, that they decided to put the game on Patrick Mahomes' hands, arm, I should say, and not run the ball more. And try to do play action. Try to get that rush to calm down. So they put it on Patrick Mahomes. Now, offensive line, snap after snap, with a pass rush from Philly, could not protect Pat Mahomes. And for whatever reason, I'm surprised because Andy Reid usually does pretty good offensive adjustments. Never adjusted and used to run more. I mean, it was obvious that the pass rush was getting to them early in the game before it got out of hand, and he never adjusted through the whole freaking game to run the football.
Yeah. And some folks say it was Matt Nagy. I don't think it was Matt Nagy.
It's Andy Reid, man. Come on.
Well, like I said,
we all know that.
I'm only repeating what was speculated, okay? Yeah. Do I think Andy decided not to run the ball because of what he saw Philly doing in the playoffs, shutting down the run? Possibly. I mean, Washington didn't run the ball that great, but they ran it good enough. They just fumbled. You know, Kerryon Williams in a snowstorm was fumbling, and they were punching the ball out. So could it be that he was worried about Pacheco and Hunt getting the ball smacked out of their hand? I don't know. But to give Kareem Hunt one rush,
yeah, I know. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah, and again, like I said, some people speculated it's Nagy because it was the type of play calling Nagy did in Chicago. People wondering why DeAndre Swift wasn't touching the ball, because Pat Nagy wasn't calling run plays, even though you had Justin Fields using play action. Nobody's buying it because they're not running the ball. So the game plan was very similar to what people saw in Chicago. Hence, people thinking, and I don't know, it could have been Nagy calling the plays. But if not, Andy Reid definitely called a Pat Nagy game.
Yeah,
I'll put it that way. If it wasn't Nagy calling the plays, Andy Reid called a Pat Nagy game plan.
And I'm very surprised at this for the simple reason. I'm extremely surprised that Andy Reid, and it all falls on Andy Reid when you had Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator. Everybody thought it was Andy Reid. So why not, if it's Matt Nagy and he's supposed to be the offensive coordinator, put it on Andy Reid? Come on, man. I mean, it's obvious that to most people around the league and to me that it's Andy Reid's offense, okay? And to not I was really surprised because you had 2 weeks to prepare for this team. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay? Yeah. And to lay a stinker like that and to have tunnel vision in your offensive play calling boggles my mind. Well, and Andy Reid seeing what's taking place, he's been around. It ain't like he just started. He's been around the block quite a few times. And if he laid it on Matt Nagy, he's going to say, hold up, wait a minute. We can't have this. Change up. Run the football. Do some play action. Try to offset this pass rush. So
again, that's if he gave it to to Nagy. But only way we'll know is if Andy Reid ever says that, or it comes out later on that this is who was calling the plays and so on and so forth.
He'll never do that.
Again, like I said, we'll never know. But NFL season has come to an end, and we're about to get ready to get into the new business portion of the NFL season as we get ready for the combine and things of that nature. So I'm going to take this opportunity to go back and revisit division by division what was spoken about. It's going to be a synopsis. It's not going to be a breakdown of every team's schedule, stuff like we did in the summer. But I'm going to start off with the NFC East. NFC East was a lot stronger than I thought it would be. I don't recall all of your predictions. I do recall several of them, though, which I'm happy to point out. But
it's all about me, brother. It's all about me. Stop.
I do want to say I did pick Philly to win the division, and I did pick Washington to finish second, begrudgingly. Not begrudgingly. I wanted them to finish second. I needed them to finish second because I love my team. And they finished second with a far better record than I had given them credit for. I gave them 10. Someone were like, you're smoking crack. I don't know the exact words, but apparently that person was smoking crack because Washington finished with 12 victories.
Okay. I'm going victories. Past history. Okay. So and
can I finish? Hey.
You're good for this.
I'm gonna let you talk about
you're good for this.
I'm gonna let you talk about the East. Just wait.
Unbelievable.
So I did also say I felt Dallas was going to finish third and the Giants were going to finish last. I just think the Cowboys were going to be as bad as they were. That was the surprise to me. I thought they would be closer to Washington's record than, having the season they did. But again, a lot of factors to go and play there. Injuries being the biggest thing for the Cowboys. And I don't know what it was, but they just were not good. I knew they weren't going to be that good, but they just weren't. And the Giants were going to giant. Also, let's go to the AFC East, where I was wrong about Buffalo. I picked Buffalo to finish third. They finished first. Had a very good record. I thought with all of the changes and lack of top-tier talent that Josh Allen had on offense or did not have on offense, and the defense wasn't that good, and then they lost Matt Milano, I had no inkling of them being the performers they were. I, along with others, went out there with the Jets in Miami. Jets woefully disappointed. Woefully. It was like somebody else was rooting for them again. I don't know. But the band's getting broken up now. All those Green Bay Packers that went to New York, they're getting jettisoned. Again, injury played a big role in Miami's fortunes. It really shows you that offense runs through Tua. When you have 4 different quarterbacks play the game, same game plan, but only one of them's able to execute it, but he's constantly out because of concussions, severe concussions, it doesn't matter what weapons you have, Waddle, Cheetah, Morris, a chain. Those are fantasy football names. But without Tua, they tanked. So those are the 2 East divisions. Those are where we went. I know you were still strong, or I believe you were still strong on Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But outside of that, we both said the Patriots were going to suck. Patriots actually got just about as many wins. Got one more win than I thought they would. I think Patriots were 4-13 or something.
Something like that, yes.
But
they're on the rise.
That's where those 2 were for me. Briefly recap your NFC and AFC East predictions, and go.
I was wrong. The NFC East. Okay. Teams and players influenced the way the teams played and their records. Okay. Plain and simple. I love Jaden Daniels, but I didn't think he was going to make a bigger difference than he did. I loved him in the beginning of the season. I said I thought he was the best quarterback coming out of the draft. Didn't like Caleb Williams that much. And I think I was, along with some other people, proven right about that. And his record, he made a big difference in that team. Okay, and definitely the offensive coordinator putting him in position to exceed made a big difference in that division. In the AFC East, didn't like the Jets, didn't like quite naturally, both of us didn't like the Patriots. And I thought Buffalo would be the better team in that division. Okay.
You did.
Huh?
I'm talking to Chris Jocelyn. He says Cooper DeJean was going to be a stud.
Oh, yeah.
And I agree.
Along with the other teams, I thought Tampa was going to win that division. But I thought the Saints were going to be more competitive in that division. Didn't like.
We didn't go to the South yet. Don't talk about the South. We haven't gone to the South yet.
I thought you said talking about the NFC and the AFC. That's what you just said.
East.
You didn't tell me East. You just
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I said
no problem. No problem. Okay, I was thoroughly disappointed in what took place in the not disappointed, but surprised, I should say, what took place in the NFC East. But no one's perfect. There's always one team or one quarterback that in a rookie season exceeds all expectations, and it happened to be one of the NFC East and another in another division that we'll soon talk about.
So you have nothing more for the AFC East and the play of the different teams.
Well, let me put it this way. In the AFC East, the quarterback that made the biggest difference, that carried that team, that rightfully so, in my opinion, was the MVP of the league. Was Josh Allen. He did more. To me, he did more with less. That's the difference. He did more with less. So that's why I was picking Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to win that division.
Okay. All right. I was going to go there, but you already took us there, so it's an easier transition. The AFC South and NFC South, two of the worst divisions in football. Let's talk about the NFC South. Now, for most of the season, I was right. But then if the doors fell off, Atlanta had everything going for them. And then Kurt, he did what he did. And it made – now, I'm going to say this. During the draft, live reaction, myself and Mr. Taylor were surprised that Michael Penix Jr. was drafted instead of Dante Fowler. Not Dante Fowler. Who's the defensive rookie of the year? The outside linebacker defensive end. Verse? They went to the Rams.
Verse.
Yes, Verse. Thank you. We were surprised because that was the biggest need at the time for the Falcons. Well, getting Michael Penix Jr. was the best thing for them for the future. Because Kirk struggled toward the end, and it gave Tampa Bay, who was riddled with injuries from the beginning of the season, it let them back in the window. In fact, it allowed Tampa Bay to win the division with a terrible record. People with terrible records seem to squeak in somehow, some way. That ain't gonna happen again. But I'm not going. I'm not going
You
back.
stop.
Excuse me.
Let me ask.
I'm coping the way I cope in my league.
Yeah, you can't cope. You can't cope.
You know what?
You can't cope. God.
You know what? I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. I'm just gonna blow you up. Okay. So Tampa Bay gets back into it. The surprise for me was after Bryce Young was benched and the Red Rifle came in and did a couple of good things. Bryce Young came back with a vengeance and made Carolina competitive. In fact, Carolina won games that and were to the last second in games they had no business being in. Adam Thielen was productive the way they wanted him to be productive as the old school, old head, reliable receiver. Chuba Hubbard, not some rookie with a blown ACL who blew it again before he got a chance to even play a down, was the guy. Miles Sanders was whatever. But Chuba powered that team. Very surprisingly. Then again, injury, ladies and gentlemen. That is the theme of 2024. When you have your entire receiving core go down, your star running back not being able to perform to the level because nobody's afraid of your receivers, then he gets hurt. And then your Swiss Army knife gets hurt too. And your quarterback keeps getting injured because the offensive line sucks. New Orleans, y'all need to rebuild everything. Hiring Kellen Moore at the end of the season, I don't know how much that's going to help. I don't know how much that's going to help. But that, I didn't expect New Orleans to finish the way they did or play the way they did. It was god-awful. I'm surprised they were not the worst team in the NFL. Let's go over to the AFC South. I told you guys during the summertime, do not draft anybody from Jacksonville unless it was a tight end. I didn't love Travis Etienne. Definitely didn't love Sunshine. Trevor Lawrence. Didn't have any thoughts on Tank Dell. I mean, not Tank Dell. On Tank. And Brian Robinson. Not Brian. Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. was the lone bright spot. Christian Kirk hurt again. I'm not going to say that C.J. Stroud regressed for Houston.
Oh, yeah, he did.
I'm going to say that the play calling got stale in Houston. And people caught up to the play calling. The offensive line play, horrendous outside of rushing. Run blocking was pretty good. Joe Mixon had one of his best years in football. But the pass protection was terrible. Defense was good, but over 17 games, that defense couldn't hold up when the offense was sputtering. Hence, Bobby Slowick is no longer in the NFL as a coach of any sort. But last year was one of the hottest commodities. Play calling got stale. People caught up. Injury. Again, caught up. Houston wasn't as good. Tennessee wasn't expecting them to be good. Not at all. Firing Rand Carthon a year after firing Mike Vrabel. So which one was it? Was it the coach or was it the GM? Because right now, it looks like both. Or maybe Carthon wasn't the right guy. And Vrabel could have stayed. If Vrabel stayed, I think you would have still an opportunity for old boy, Mr. Mayonnaise, to be the starting quarterback in Tennessee. That's not going to be the case. It's either going to be Shador or Cam Ward. Old boy proved that he cannot carry a team even with the weapons he had. You have a young head coach who can now pick his quarterback and build his program over the next 4 years of his 5-year contract. Will Levis, he'll be a backup somewhere. But Tennessee, no one. It's Tennessee, man. Houston, Tennessee, Jacksonville, and Indianapolis. I know some people on here, not me, was a huge fan of Richardson. It was like, he's going to be great this year.
Who?
I questioned Richardson.
I question Richardson too. Absolutely.
Not during the summer, not during our predictions. And that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about when the season was in play. We're doing a recap of what we talked about during the summer.
I think you're thinking about that. I never liked him as a passer. Never liked him as a passer. He was not a good passer. I've always said that he is not a good passer.
Well, like I said, somebody on here, not me, was touting him and, couldn't wait to draft him.
I never drafted him. Never drafted him.
You did draft him because
I never drafted him.
You traded for him. That's right.
I picked him up in a trade, and you
traded for him.
And I held on to him for 2 weeks, maybe 3, and then got rid of him. So don't even go there. Don't even go there. Don't even go there. I picked him up in a trade. That's all, and I got rid of him. I got rid of him.
A month or so into it. But anyway, can I finish I'm doing my breakdown.
Who picked him up?
Yes, because I had to start 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
but
that was
he did well for me when I started him.
Never started.
Again, let me talk about the Indianapolis Colts. I think they feel as though they have one more year with him before they have to cut bait. Mainly because there really aren't any solid quarterbacks coming out in this draft. Like Dart from Ole Miss is probably the third best quarterback. And he has a cannon of an arm. He's very good, but he lacks a lot when it comes to QBing. Decision making. He thinks his arm will get him out of trouble all the time. And he will take chances that he probably shouldn't take. Can that be shaken out of him? Possibly. But Richardson is coming up on year 3 on a 5-year deal, with that 5th year being an option. I don't think they're going to pick up the option, especially if Richardson gets hurt again next year. But this was a microcosm of what the Colts are. They had Joe Flacco come in, do decently, but Joe Flacco'd. And when Richardson was healthy, came back in. Didn't do much. Tapped out. Flacco back in for a game. And then Richardson's back. What a sad state of affairs. The Colts did what I figured they would do. Houston held on to that division by the skin of their teeth. And I'm telling you, next year, I don't even really like the head coach of Jacksonville, but I like what he did in Tampa Bay last year. Look out for Duval. As he says, Duval, instead of Duval. It was kind of suspect there, but it is what it is.
That's his accent.
Whatever. He was trying to be cool, and it ended up being something other than cool. So, AFC South, NFC South, Mr. Taylor.
AFC.
I'm gonna say it again. AFC South.
I heard.
I'm making sure.
I heard you. I'm about to talk about the NFC South. And let me tell you this. I'm saying this. This is a bold prediction. Let me say this right now. You got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got the Atlanta Falcons. And I'm telling you right now, most people are just discounting what the New Orleans Saints because of Kellen Moore and the type of issues they have with their players. I'm telling you right now, you watch out for the New Orleans Saints. Watch out for the New Orleans Saints. They got some talent on there.
Who are they keeping? They got Olave. They're going to do the 5th-year optional Olave. They got that.
Hey, look, can I talk?
I asked the question though.
Well,
because you're talking about the future. You're talking about the future when we're supposed to be doing a recap.
I'm gonna let you talk because obviously you don't want me to talk. Okay.
No, I asked you. Look, when I said we're doing a recap of
the NFC South,
right,
and the AFC South, and I'm starting to do the NFC South first. And you're talking about
the future. You're talking about the future when I asked you to talk about what we predicted.
You haven't let me finish.
And since you talked about it, I asked the question.
Finish. Well,
I asked the question since you brought it up.
Why don't you wait until your question until after I finish everything instead of interrupting me?
You weren't talking about what I asked you to talk about, but go ahead.
God, I let you talk all the time. The AFC and NFC South didn't ask one single question. Okay, but I didn't interrupt you.
That's a better way of saying it. I didn't interrupt you. I let you talk. You didn't let me talk.
Well, when I let you talk because I didn't want to interrupt you, because it was your time, so I let you talk. Okay.
Okay.
All right. When I'm saying watch out for the NFC South and New Orleans Saints, Tampa Bay is going to be better because of who they have. And wait a minute. Can I finish?
I was waiting to see.
They lost some players to injury that could have helped them this year, even though they took the division. But it's going to be a more competitive division in the future. Okay. The Saints, ton of injuries, consistently ton of injuries. Quarterback, wide receiver, and even the running back position was injured with Alvin Kamara. Okay. And Kendre Miller, he got hurt, and he was constantly getting hurt.
And a Swiss Army knife.
Okay, and like Bryce Young has had a bright future, I do believe. I think they know what they have before he got. They know what they have after he got back into the lineup. Along with the AFC South, which is probably one of the worst divisions in the world here. Tennessee got a lot of work to do. They had a lot of work to do this season with inconsistent quarterback play and inconsistent play in the defense. And Jacksonville, they got to find a way to keep their players healthy. They got to find a way. They have a lot of dysfunction in the front office, and it showed up with the turnover they have in the coaching staff and the GM. Okay. CJ Stroud, regardless of what anybody thinks, I think he took a step back. He looked not comfortable as he was in his rookie season. Didn't look comfortable in the pocket, passing the football and making consistent mistakes that he didn't do in his rookie year. Okay. I got Tennessee, Jacksonville, and the Texans. Indianapolis, don't like Anthony Richardson. Think he's going to be a copy of what he was this year. Very inconsistent, very poor passer. To me, Anthony Richardson is 2 levels below, but identical in the way he plays, but 2 levels below Lamar Jackson. Okay? 2 levels below. He's the same type of player, but 2 levels below, meaning his main thing is running the football. He can't pass to save his life, okay? And it's obvious that you're going to get more of the same unless he goes to the school of Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts in the offseason. If he does, then he's going to be just like those 2 players. Otherwise, you're going to get more of the same from Anthony Richardson. That's the AFC South and the NFC South. Okay.
Now, that wasn't a breakdown of what happened with your predictions from last year. That's what was supposed to happen. But let's get back on track with that. NFC North, AFC North. We both agreed that these were the 2 best divisions in football. I think we disagreed on which one was better than the other, though. Detroit is for real. Let's see how for real they were. Best record in football, tied with the Chiefs. Walked through every team they played, except for Buffalo when they had to, like the highest scoring game. No, the highest scoring game was Buffalo and the Rams. But the next highest scoring game, which happened to be the following week, was Detroit and Buffalo. What did not happen was a regression in play calling by Johnson. The defense, Aaron Glenn. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Glenn went to the Jets, right? They're going to play man coverage with one of the best man cover corners in the game in Sauce Gardner. But he doesn't have the same quality of players that he did in Detroit. And in Detroit, his defense was not that good. It was good enough. Johnson, he goes to the rival Chicago. We'll get to that in a second. I said it would be Detroit, Chicago, Green Bay, Minnesota. Obviously, I was wrong on Minnesota. Obviously. And I did not expect Caleb Williams and that offense to perform the way they did when you have so much great talent. So much great talent at the skilled positions. Also didn't realize that the offensive line was hot garbage, Swiss cheese. They were. Green Bay. You know, Mr. Taylor mentioned that Jordan Love was going to be the stuff. And I saw that. I saw that. Hence why I thought they would be a contender, which they were. And they did finish third, as I thought. It's just Minnesota was that dog. Just that dog. Let's go over to AFC North. I predicted during the summer Ravens would win the division. Then during the season, during the shows, I changed my mind because I saw, okay, well, Pittsburgh is now running with Russell, and Russell's going to get the ball to these people. And he did. They made the playoffs, just didn't win the division. I also said that during the summer that Cincinnati would not be that good. And they were not. Yes, you had the quarterback that led the league in throwing, passing yards, and touchdowns, and you had the receiver that had the most receiving touchdowns. But that defense was god awful. The run game was horrendous. They couldn't protect the guy. So Cincinnati did what I thought they would do. Cleveland, there's only one person on this show that even thought Cleveland was going to be worth anything. And it's that guy. I told you all Cleveland was going to suck. Period. And they did. Over and over and over again. There were some highlights. Don't get me wrong. There were highlights in Cleveland. But I picked them to finish last. Maybe not the record I thought they would have. I thought they'd have a little better record than they did. But it goes to show you. Hot garbage. That's why Myles Garrett wants out. He wants to go to a contender. He wants to win. He sees and knows they're not in that mode whatsoever. Cleveland has a long way to go. And it started when dirtball throwing QB Deshaun Watson couldn't hit anybody. And it wasn't that he wasn't healthy, because he was. Later on, he got hurt, got it, so on and so forth. And I said this during the summer. If he did not utilize Njoku like Flacco did, there was going to be a problem. Absolutely was. Because when Jameis Winston got in, guess who his favorite target was? Njoku. And then Jerry Jeudy decided to catch the ball. Now, obviously, we know what happened during the season. And Derrick Henry, he wasn't the king, but he was the prince next to Saquon. But for most of the year, he was the king. Every game he had a touchdown. He scored one touchdown in every game this season. And he had average like 110, 113. That's not washed. I recall battling somebody who kept saying that. But overall, both divisions lived up to what I predicted they would do as far as being the best divisions in football. You got back to the black and blue divisions of the two. Both of them are black and blue. Run the ball, smack somebody in the mouth, do what you do. AFC, NFC North, Mr. Taylor.
Taylor, two divisions, in my opinion. I was right about one, wrong about the other. I'll start with the one that I was right about, then I'll go to the other. The NFC North, I said I loved for the last 3 years at least. Since Kevin O'Connell has taken over the offense of the Minnesota Vikings, I've said I love the offense of the Minnesota Vikings, and they didn't disappoint me. Other than Sam Darnold playing down like the last 2 or 3 games of the season. The other part is I love Jordan Love. I've said this quite a bit going into this new season. 24 season. I love Jordan Love. The only problem with Jordan Love is he plays well against mediocre to bad teams compared to good teams. If you watched him play against good teams, his play had dropped. And that was the problem, especially with young receivers, the youngest receiving group in the whole NFL. And also, these guys can't stay healthy. Okay. I said at the beginning part of the season of last season, I didn't like Kalen Williams. Didn't like the offense. Didn't like the Chicago Bears offense. And I was surprised the coach of the Chicago Bears, the head coach, came back Well, he didn't last long. He got canned during the season, rightfully so. And now they got an offensive guy. Still don't think too much of Caleb Williams in this season. I think they're going to see if they can ride him or get him better with the new head coaching. But that division is going to be a tough division to rise above the third place division on the third place that I think Chicago is going to be in. AFC North. I was wrong about my Cleveland Browns. Plain and simple. I thought they'd be a little better than they were. It's a very competitive division. It's got very good quarterbacks in Baltimore and in Cincinnati. They're going to be in transition. We don't know who's going to be in Pittsburgh. We don't know who's going to be the quarterback in Cleveland. So I don't know if it's going to be the best division in football or the best division in the AFC, but it's going to be interesting to see those two teams, Pittsburgh and Cleveland, on where they're going to go to in the quarterback position. It's going to determine how well that division is going to be overall. That's all I got.
All right, let's go on to the West. NFC and AFC West to finish this out. Mr. Taylor said that, and I disagree with him vehemently, and I was wrong, that the Rams would win the division. Me being where I am now in Arizona, I thought Arizona would be a bit of a contender, but not win it. I still had belief in San Francisco and things of that nature. Well, the Rams end up getting mollywopped and looking terrible at the beginning of the season because of what? I told you guys, the theme is injuries for 2024. I sat there and watched Arizona whoop the dog snot out of these Rams who had lost Puka Nacua. And in that game in Arizona, they lost Cooper Kupp, who now could possibly be a Washington Commander, along with or also Debo or DK. We're just shopping in the AFC West. The Commanders are. We're going to get one of the three to go with Terry. I honestly would prefer Garrett Wilson or T. Higgins, but knowing the relationship between Lynch and Adams, Debo has a decent contract that we can play with and still pay Terry and things of that nature. But I'm sidetracking, which I just, talked to the old guy about. So let me get back on track.
Thank you.
The Rams, after injury, and got everybody healthy. Oh, my goodness. Nasty work they did. Nasty work. Jared Verse started to show more, even though he had less sacks than others on that same defensive line. But he was the big name that everybody saw, and so on and so forth. The Rams did what Mr. Taylor said they were going to do, win that division. San Fran couldn't get out of their own way. Injury. As I said, it's the theme. Couldn't recover from them. Then you go to Seattle, who also led for a short period of time. New offense. They fired the offensive coordinator after 1 year. Geno has statistically one of his best years. But the team doesn't run the ball with Kenneth Walker the way that they want to. It was ran better in that style of offense with Zach Charbonnet. Because again, Kenneth Walker couldn't stay healthy. Up and down season. I actually didn't pick Seattle to have an up and down season. I thought they would finish second or tied with second with Arizona. And San Fran being top, the Rams being last. Didn't happen that way. Arizona, I believe, finished third, just behind Seattle, and San Fran finished last with the Rams finishing first. Going to the AFC West, I told you guys Kansas City was going to win that thing, right? Also said Kansas City was going to the Super Bowl. Also said they're going to win the Super Bowl. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But what I also said, and I think Mr. Taylor, you were on the same boat, but because neither one of us, because I looked at the video, made mention of Harbaugh and the Harbaugh effect in with the Chargers. We both picked the Chargers to finish last. No, excuse me. I picked them to finish last. You picked them to finish third to last because you had the Raiders finishing last. I had the Raiders finishing second. I had no faith in Denver, and that was wrong. They were in a game managing situation. Also mentioned that I thought Cortland Sutton wouldn't be there during the season. And I stand on that. If Cortland Sutton was not there, Denver would not have been as good on offense as they were. The defense held that team together until they didn't in the playoff loss to Buffalo. But out of all the divisions and how I said they would stack up, this is the one where I got it wrong the most. I got it wrong the most on this one. Outside of predicting Kansas City will win the division, my order was really, really off on this. But I'm a man. I accept my faults and say, watch what I'm about to say. In 2 years, the AFC West will be the best division in football. 2 years. Count me on that. Mr. Taylor, you have NFC West, AFC West.
NFC West, I'll go first because this is the one I got the most correct on, okay? I said the Rams would win the division. I also said that the team, the San Francisco 49ers, would take a step back because they were healthy the prior year. I said that over and over again. Some people, I'm not saying who, but some people on this show didn't believe me. Okay, no problem. I said Christian McCaffrey would not be the same guy, and he wasn't. He was consistently hurt. Okay. Obviously, this team had a rash of injuries, and it affected what they did. I can't say I know what I'm talking about, but I know what I'm talking about when I said this team was not going to be healthy. They had guys on this team who had career years and stayed healthy. And that's where they were in 2023. 2024, they were going to take a step back. They took a step back all the way to third place in this division. All the way to third place in its division. Okay? I'm not going to say who's going to be first in this division. That's going to be later for this year. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to shift over to the other division that I was mistaken about, quite naturally. I thought the Chargers were not going to be second. And let me just say this. I'm looking at the record of the AFC division. Quite naturally, Kansas City is the king of that division right now with 15-2. Chargers wound up second at 11-6. And the Broncos were right behind them at 10-7. So this is a very competitive division. And I consider this year to be the most competitive division in this. I consider these teams to be the most competitive in this division. Okay? That's all I got. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to ride for the Broncos, but this young man right here, Mr. Franklin, he's going to be a star next year. Ladies and gentlemen, ooh, let me watch that. I got that Blake Corum. I got that Kareem Carrion Williams. I got that iced out Jamar Chase, Mr. Zay Flowers, Mr. Drake London, Mr. Walker.
Speaking of Drake London, since you mentioned him, do we still have that trade that you agreed upon?
What trade?
You would take Michael Penix, and I would take Drake London.
Now, why would I kill a stack?
What?
I don't know.
Wait a minute. You agreed upon this. Come on now. You agreed upon this.
Come on, bro.
On air, you agreed upon it.
I may or may not.
Okay.
Well, again,
I am not the type of person to go back on something. I am not the type of person.
That is a bold-faced lie.
No. If I say I'm going to accept the trade, I accept that trade. Not I'm going to say, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to think about it. No, I accept the trade.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can bring y'all text messages where somebody's backed out of trades when they were talking to people. I can bring that up, but I'm not going to.
I want you to bring it up because I don't back out of trades. Once I say I'll make a trade, I can bring up. I will consider. I can bring up Texas that people have backed out, and
like I said,
you're included in that. So I
said, I will consider it. I have to.
See, people. Let me tell you something. I can produce Texas that said I agreed to it.
You can produce Texas.
I can produce Texas. Absolutely.
Not Texas, because Texas is a state.
Texas. I said Tex.
That's how you say Tex is in plural. It's plural as is.
Wait a minute. Regardless how pronounced it, you know what I'm talking about. So don't even go there. That's you trying to deflect it. Come on, stop. Okay.
As I said, I have to consider it.
Yeah, now we're considering it. I can tell you when he agreed upon it.
I didn't say I didn't agree upon it. I didn't say I didn't. What I said was I have to consider it because I don't know if I want Michael Penix.
You know what, Vic? Okay.
But
you know what? No problem. No problem. If you want to go that route, I
said I'll see.
You want to go that route, no problem.
I said I'll see.
You know what? I'm getting tired of guys being I'm gonna say the B word, okay? Being a B word because of Texas. You and your buddy are the biggest culprit of that.
My buddy? Who is my buddy?
Your butt buddy.
Excuse me. Are you being derogatory? One, I don't go that way. Two, if you're who would that person be that you're referring to?
Your best gambling buddy, okay? Your best gambling buddy.
Why don't you just go ahead and say his name?
You know who I'm talking about. I don't have to say his name.
Why don't you say his name?
I don't want to say his name.
So why'd you bring him up then?
Because the fact is, you two are two peas in a pod. Let me put it that way. Two guys. They and it's the bitchy move. I'm gonna tell you that right now. The bitchy move. When you agree to a trade, and then 2 minutes later or half an hour later, I gotta think about it. Come on, man. Really?
This has been several weeks. I'm still thinking.
Oh yeah, okay. All right, whatever.
I will
You know
have
what?
my
You know
answer
what?
I will have my answer
let me tell
by
you,
the draft.
let me tell you something.
I will have my answer by the draft.
Let me explain this to you. Let me explain this to you.
Here we go.
This past season, guys that turned me down on trades, you know what I'm gonna say? Thank you, because I got this because the people turned down trades that they could have done better with. I got this neighborhood champ because guys turned down trades. Thank you. I appreciate it. You stopped me from making.
You would never know he's like 75.
I'm 70. I'm 70, and I'm telling you right now,
acting like a 7-year-old.
I'm telling you guys, thank you.
But I tell you what, I'll take this guy over the other 70-something guy that's running the country. I'll do that because at least with this one, I know how to just ignore him.
Thank you for turning me down on trades, guys. All of you, I appreciate you.
So why don't you say my gambling buddy's friend's name? Why don't you? Is he not your friend? Is he not someone you?
Oh no, I'm saying he's your best buddy, best gambling buddy. That's what I'm telling. That's what I just said. Your best gambling buddy. He ain't my best gambling buddy. He's your best gambling buddy. And I thank you. And I thank you for turning me down on several trades because that led to me with a ring. And with a nice trophy sitting under my Nick Chubb picture. I appreciate you.
Such a joke.
I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody in the league that turned me down on a trade because now I'm the neighborhood champ. I appreciate you.
You are a chump. You are.
You're right. I'll be a chump, but a chump with a ring and a chump with a trophy. I'll be all that. No problem. No problem.
You are lucky I am a very benevolent owner and commissioner.
No problem. You're right.
You're about to be fined.
Wait a minute. Let me tell you something.
You are about to be fined.
Let me tell you something.
I
told you a long time ago. I told the whole league this. I'd rather be lucky than good. And I got lucky. Okay.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
You're lucky I didn't.
And I always said fantasy football is a lot, is some skill and a lot of luck. And I got a lot of luck. Oh, well, that's because I'm the champ right now.
Like I said, I will. I have. I think I'm going to pull the trigger. Like I said, I will let you know after I look at the draft.
Okay. Hey.
I have to see what Atlanta does.
You know what?
If Atlanta does what I want them to do, we can make that happen. Long as your fee's already in because Hoss. Well, it ain't in. Hoss ain't paid it. He ain't paid it. So
he's gonna pay it.
It ain't in yet. So you ain't got nothing yet, buddy.
Hey, guess what, buddy? I played for free last year, buddy. Thank you. Buddy, thank you. So I played for free last year, and it looks like I'm going to play for free this year, buddy. I'm smiling all over. I love it. You can't stand it, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
You are such a jerk.
Yeah, well, why? Can I speak the truth?
No, because you're a jerk. But anyway,
I speak the truth.
Let me finish the show, please.
You know what this is?
Because you've been on your little rant for a whole minute.
2 years.
So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, per usual, whether Mr. Taylor's here or not, because we never know when he's going to disappear, I will make sure that the summer is filled with predictions, man. With predictions. Do I have a helmet for each division? No, I don't. But this summer is going to be hot, and I plan to bring the hotness to you after the draft when we see who gets who. Once free agency starts, trades are going to begin in a couple weeks. No, in a week, if I'm not mistaken.
What are you talking about?
The NFL season on the 2nd or the 4th. One of the others when teams can start wheeling and dealing and trading players.
I thought the new league year, you got to wait for that. That's around.
Yeah. I thought it was March 4th.
I thought it was the middle of the month.
So about March 15th.
Yeah, something like that. Hold on,
Okay.
I'll find that real quick.
I thought it was the 4th. But anyway, once that happens, ladies and gentlemen, when that happens, we'll see who makes moves, who does this, that, and the third.
March 12th.
March 12th. Okay. Splitting the difference. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a pretty good combine. There'll be some gems to look out for. But then the biggest thing is the actual draft. March Madness is upon us. So next week, unless there's some football news going on, I'm talking college basketball. I'm talking getting ready for baseball. I'm going to open up a fantasy baseball league.
Are you going to play in it? Are you going to play in it?
Are you going to die soon?
Oh, stop, man! You know that was not good. That was not good, man.
No, because you want to go low. You want to be low.
That's pretty low. That's pretty low, Victor. That's pretty low.
It is. I admit it is because I'm King Petty right now because I know what you were doing. And that was uncalled for what you was about to do. I was about to invite you and say some good stuff about you, but then you go into, are you going to play in it? See, I already know who you are. I was going to say some good stuff about you. I really was.
No, I haven't played fantasy baseball in quite a while, but I'm pretty good at it. So it is what it is.
No, your mom is. We was started that like 3 years ago. No. 3 or 4 years. Your mom was on point. You were not. I had to give it up to Mama Taylor.
You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong about that. But you have no.
I don't want Mama Taylor in the league because then I might lose. But
it's in the genes, brother. It's in the genes.
Her genes, not yours. Well, but it's okay.
Part of her genes. So I'm just saying, I'm pretty good at fantasy baseball. You don't want me.
Let me go back to what I was saying, please.
Go ahead, please.
I'm opening up a fantasy baseball league, and of course, it's going to be possibly lucrative. And I was hoping that Mr. Taylor would be the co-commissioner because of his baseball prowess. That's where I was going until somebody was trying to insult me. But I'm quick with it too. I'm quick with it too. Anyway, to help fill it and get it going, because I'm right here in Arizona, spring training with the Cubs, with the A's, with the Diamondbacks. I might even get some Diamondback season tickets. I don't know. Some things like that. So I'm going to be going to a lot of these games when I don't have to work, if I get laid off, thanks to Doge, and or during the weekends. I'm going to enjoy the games. So I might as well have I'm going to learn how to keep score of these games the old school way.
Okay.
So that is my intent with this. I'm going to open the league up probably next week because spring training is about to kick off. And
think about it.
Folks are interested. We'll see what happens. And Mr. Taylor, again, I am asking for you to be the co-commissioner of it.
I have to think about it.
Bitch ass.
Yeah, I have to think about it. I'm not sure.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen,
I'm not sure.
He's going to do it. Don't trust me. Because he likes power. Just like the other guy that's in office, he thirsts on power and control. He's just as crazy as that guy. But I'm not Elon. Trust me, I am not Elon. But we shall see. I want to beat every Taylor that I can. So I'm hoping that Mr. Taylor and his nephews and his sons, and I don't know if I really want this smoke, but Mama Taylor, I want that smoke. Because you know what Ric Flair says? To be the man, you got to beat the man. But in this case, the one man. Because I'm the best thing going today.
Okay.
Woo!
I have to think about it.
2 years removed from winning a fantasy league.
Because the people, fantasy baseball is 10 times more work than fantasy football. It is 10 times.
It is.
It's fantasy football.
Because schedule changes every day.
And if I'm going to play fantasy football and fantasy baseball, the only thing I'm afraid of that playing fantasy baseball is going to burn me out for fantasy football.
Oh, you must play then. Since you're the champ, you got all this energy. You got all this big. I'm playing for free.
I am playing for free. So I am playing for free.
So what you worried about it for then? What you worried about the burnout for?
Well, let me put it this way.
You suck? Okay.
I've been playing fantasy football since 2006. That's 18 years.
You're still a baby.
I played fantasy baseball and then followed up and playing fantasy football. So I know how it is. That's why I'm saying I'm not sure if I want to put a commitment of every day putting a fantasy lineup trying to compete to win a fantasy baseball championship. That's my dilemma. Do I want to put that work in and burn me out in fantasy that is going to deter me from a back-to-back championship in fantasy football? You know, I don't only play just one league in fantasy football. I play several leagues. And in order for you to be able to play fantasy, you got to have a total commitment. And if you play fantasy every day in the baseball season, which conflicts when come football season, it can distract you. I don't want that distraction. I want my full focus on fantasy football because I like fantasy football more than I like any type of fantasy that's played. So that's why I'm saying I'm not sure.
Keep playing, y'all.
Okay. Don't say I didn't warn you. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Look,
don't
you ain't
say
got nothing better to do.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
You ain't got nothing else better to do. So get on the train.
Let me say this.
As the co-commish.
Let me say this.
And I'm gonna let you. Yes, I said I'm gonna let you give me some ideas of categories. Because I want to do an 8x8. But I don't know if 8x8 is better than a 5x5. So get your mind right. Sip on whatever cognac or whack New Jersey drink you have. Get some Italian food. Grab your nuts, clean them, and just get ready for baseball. Stop being an old Mets fan. Y'all suck anyway.
All I got to say is this. Come March 2nd, for no reason, what you see in back of you is back again after the combine, and we're going to be doing, including rookie players, NFC, mock drafts. We're going to start that back up again because in this draft, in this season, just like other seasons, rookies coming into this league in a specific position always change. Some NFL drafts, you got wide receivers that are strong. You got quarterbacks that are strong. You got tight ends that are strong. Defensive, offensive linemen or linebackers that are strong. Or running backs that are strong. We're going to talk about that come March 2nd when the For No Reason show will make its 2025 debut. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, March 2nd.
You done?
Thank you for giving me the time.
Yeah, because I was about to mute you because I don't promote other stuff on the show anymore unless I have a co-commissioner. So therefore, if I don't have a co-commissioner, I don't promote other things.
Like I said, thank you for giving me the time. Okay. It is what it is. It is what it is. For no reason.
Yeah, for no reason he disappears. But we're going to get to that at some other point. Right now, I want to thank all the people that participate in the show. Hey, Chris Joslin, always welcome to come on because he gives us that Iowa perspective of the tight end, Cooper DeJean, and other stuff like that. So, hey, tell us who the next hotness is going to be, bro. Always want to have you. I want to thank the people that like the show. My folks, Dan Carr, myself, Jason Casera, James Pooney Hemsley, my guys. I love you all. I want to thank Mr. Taylor for jumping on and being a part of the show late. Don't care. But he showed up. Possibly the neighborhood street stickball league commissioner. Thinking about it. Stickball, to give a little reference to the old man, because I know that's what he played back in the day in the 30s and 40s. And I'm that's pretty accurate, actually.
Very inaccurate. Very inaccurate.
I mean, you were hanging in somebody's area.
Very inaccurate. Just think Harry Truman, okay? Just
well,
think
I know how
Harry
old you
Truman.
are. I know you were born in the 50s. I'm just saying, in the 70s, I mean, in the 30s and 40s, somebody was playing stickball, and somehow you came out. Still didn't get it. It's okay. It's okay. I don't know what's wrong with this old guy. I'm trying to be, nice to him. I'm trying, y'all.
You don't have to try. Just be.
No, I won't.
Okay. No problem. No problem. I can go either way. No problem. No problem.
We know you go either way.
Yeah, no
problem. But with that being the case, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate the love and dealing with some stuff. So I appreciate you guys coming back and supporting.
Take care of yourself.
I'm gonna make it hot. I'm telling you. If things don't go the way I hope they go, and I am like free to just say anything. Oh, before I go, did you watch the halftime show?
No, I did not.
Okay, never mind.
I did not.
Okay, then I don't need your commentary. It's all good. With that being said, I appreciate everybody on Twitch watching, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to say goodbye. I'll see you next week.
Peace.
Of pie.
Peace.
Poo-tang pie.
Fantasy, sports, and politics. Get ready to rumble! You want to talk smack? You in the right place. So take a step back before I get all up in your
Remember, because I don't remember. I remember every bit of this.
The other dudes holding on the phone line. Your voice will be heard, sir.
Next caller, please.
Oh!
Jerry's gonna get him.
Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics.
Listeners are asking questions about this week's games, not Jerry's personal beef. So what's your thought?